You've mastered ramp rushing with walls and floors, you're set to learn 90s. 90s are the fastest way to get to high ground. It's basically the same as ramp rushing, but you're turning to the side while doing it. So you place the walls and floors underneath you and then ramps to top it off. There's one issue though. If the opponent's above you, they can shoot you pretty easily. So a little trick that I like to use is, let's say the opponent's on your right, place walls to your right before jumping onto a ramp. Similarly, if they're on the left, place walls to the left before jumping onto a ramp. This makes it so that you're blocking your angles while building up to high ground. Another trick you can do with 90s is called infinite 90s. So there's a thing called jump fatigue in the game. After 2 jumps, you're going to have jump fatigue and you cannot jump and do 90s anymore. So the workaround to this is just like you're seeing on screen. You do 2 90s while jumping and then 1 90 without jumping. The way you do the 90 without jumping is you position yourself on the back of the ramp so that you don't need to jump to get up the ramp. Next step on your building journey is learning the Thwifo cone. The way you do this is you swing walls behind you and place a cone on top of the walls, just like this. Now while learning this, you gotta pay attention to your crosshair placement. Like we talked about at the start, if you look too far down, the cone is going to place in the wrong position. So just keep practicing until you can nail that cone in the perfect spot every time. Now along similar lines, we got the front side Thwifo cone. This can come in handy big time when starting a fight. Let's say you're ramp rushing the opponent and they end up getting 1 layer above you. Do a front side Thwifo cone and this will block your angle. From there, you can try to go out the backside and get above them, or simply create a box and wait for them to pressure you. So at this point, you should probably start practicing single, double, and triple edits. This is something you're going to want to practice every now and then until you can get it down. Simply run up a ramp and practice editing through floors, cones, and both at the same time. Once you can get a double edit down, that's when you want to start practicing a triple edit. When I'm doing a triple edit, I like to double edit through the floor and cone and then place a wall and edit a triangle in the wall. This combo can be useful when you're pushing straight up to an opponent on high ground. By claiming all 3 of these builds, you can get right up into their face and hit them with a fat pump. Now if you're struggling to do single, double, and triple edits, try practicing just editing a floor as fast as you can. If you use confirm edit on release, practice pressing the edit button and the select edit button at the same time. Once you get this timing down, your edit speed will double. So like I mentioned at the start of the video, there's this thing called the high wall. There's lots of ways to use high walls in the game, and this is probably the simplest form. You're just building up on a ramp and you throw high walls up on the top of your ramp. This can be useful when you're pushing up to an opponent and you want to block their angle so that you can get up a few layers. Next up, we're gonna try to tackle side jumps, and I gotta warn you, this is one of the more challenging topics in the video. So what you're seeing right here is the simple version. You just jump around a cone and land on a floor. From there, you can keep ramping up if you need to build higher, or do whatever you gotta do. If you land in the middle of the floor and look down while placing ramps, it'll place in front of you and behind you. So this is where it gets tough. The most useful form of side jumps are elevated side jumps. It's where you land on top of the ramp instead of just on the floor. When doing these type of side jumps, place the floor first and then place the ramp. The way you're going to land on top of the ramp is making sure you land on the right spot. To get on top of the ramp, you need to land at the bottom of the ramp. The reason this is useful is because it gets you up an extra layer in the same amount of time. The last one we're going to look at here is landing on a ramp faced in this direction. It's the same idea. You place a floor and then a ramp and you land at the bottom of your ramp. It's going to take some time to get this side jump down, but with enough practice, you'll get there. Just make sure you take a break if you're really struggling with it. Come back the next day to it. If you want to add a little extra spice to it, you can practice placing walls through the cone before doing the side jump. This just adds an extra layer of protection. Now congrats, you have made it to the next part of the video, which is tunneling. So you know about boxes. You're sitting in a box, there's builds all around you. Tunneling is creating box after box connected to one another. The best way to do this is place floors in front of you, the walls around the side, and then edit that front wall. This is called a full tunnel. You're placing every build around you. There are a lot of other forms of tunneling out there used for different situations. Those are going to be in a different video. I recommend learning the rest of this video first though. Next up, we're going to talk about some of the best techniques for boxing an opponent. Let's say there's someone on the other side of your wall. The best way to get them boxed is edit a window in your wall, place cones above and below them, and then walls to the sides. This is the best way to do it because you can use the window as a right-hand peek. If you stand behind your window while doing this, they can't hit you. Now, if you're trying to box somebody while you're on the move, it's really good practice to throw cones in their direction before anything else because, like we talked about at the start of this video, cones place further than any other build in the game. So you can get cones on them and then go to place walls around them. If you practice doing exactly what I'm doing right here, it'll help